Hi everybody, really nice to see you again, and welcome to Autism and ADHD and my ND Place YouTube channel, where we create weekly videos to help you understand yourselves and your family better, to give you more good days than bad. So what I want you to think about today is understanding emotional overwhelm, and we're going to talk about how it affects everybody in the world today by using our Three Faces resource, which we use with everybody and every training that we deliver. We've had so many reports from people and feedback saying how simple it is to understand this when we do it in this way. So we start with what we refer to as face number one, which is here. All right, and you will see that there's a line straight across the middle of that face. The space above that line is representing where we are, our brains are at this point, and the space beneath the line is representing where our emotions are and where our sensory processing is. So in this picture, we are calm. We're chilled, relaxed. Nothing particularly is bothering us. We might be just chilled watching a film or reading a book, or just feeling happy and settled. As you can see, when we're happy and settled, our emotions are also quite calm and settled too. And that means our brains then have all of this space to be able to process just normal day-to-day stuff. So when we're calm, it's easier for us to do things, which at the end of the day isn't rocket science. We know that. So when we're calm, because we've got a lot of space, because our brain isn't dealing with anything major down here, we find it easier to plan. We find it easier to think things through. We're more inclined to make better decisions for ourselves when we're calm than when we're completely overwhelmed with things. We can remember things better that people are saying to us, and we can just process the world in a much better way. We are all constantly trying to do things that get us back to here, all right? And there's millions of things that people tell us that we should do, like eat well, rest, sleep, plan things, make schedules. There's millions of books written on the subject about face number one and how we can all be there. Okay, so that's there. That's where we all want to be all of the time. The next face that we talk about, therefore, is face number two, which is this one here. You will see now that the line has moved and it has gone all the way to the top. In this picture, we are now very something. We may be very angry, obviously, but could equally be very excited. It doesn't have to be a negative emotion that we're dealing with. Very stressed, very anxious, very hot, very overwhelmed with noise, because it could be a sensory thing that has taken us to that place as well. But at this point, we've now become very something. You will see that that pace that we had in face number one, with our brain being nice and empty and able to do things easier, has now completely disappeared. So if we use the example of being very angry, because we all know what it feels like sometimes to be very angry. When we're very angry, we do silly things. So we could be having an argument with somebody and we'll say loads and loads and loads of things, and it's only when we calm back down and we get some of that headspace back that we might think, I probably shouldn't have said that, or oh my goodness, I'm now going to get into real trouble because of what I've done, or I may have hurt someone's feelings by what I said. But when we're here, our brain isn't making good decisions for us. We just react very fast to whatever it is that's in front of us. We'll say things that aren't okay. We will do things that aren't okay. We will try and self-regulate in ways that maybe are not appropriate. Okay, so being here is not great because we're not making good decisions, purely because our brain is now full of dealing with whatever the very thing is here. The other thing our brain's not very good at doing at this point is processing verbal language. So there's a good old saying, no one ever calmed down from someone telling them to calm down. My husband learnt that very early on in our relationship. telling me to calm down when I'm in full flight here is just going to make me shout and get more angry, which I'm sure many of you can relate to. And you need to remember that that's how we do this, and it's exactly how our kids do this too. So when they're in full flight, just yelling at them to calm down, or saying, oh, for goodness sake, will you just stop? All right. They're not stopping because they don't want to stop, because they want to wind you up even more. They're not stopping or calming down because their brain's not allowing them to process what you've said and to do something about it. And that's the same if they're excited or overwhelmed from a sensory perspective. As I said, it doesn't matter what the very is, the process that our brain and body is going through is exactly the same. So that's phase number 2. Then we come to phase number 3 here. You'll see that the line has moved again, and now it's all the way down here. Here, because we're now pretending that we're fine when we're not fine really. We're burying how we feel and putting a big brave face onto the world. So, for example, you could have had something really difficult going on at home. It could be anything. It could be a situation where maybe you're worrying about money, worrying about a family member that's really poorly. This is very, very apt right this minute, okay? So you could have had a really difficult morning, for example, getting the children ready to go to school, and you're feeling quite stressed, but you're going to bury that down here, and you're going to reach that school gate, and someone's going to say to you, how are you today? And you're going to go, oh, I'm fine, thanks, how are you? Really lovely day. Because you're not going to talk about this big stuff down here. Now, we talk about being down here as being like a bottle of fizzy drink, all right, where we've shaken it up. There's all of this stuff, these little worry bubbles and big worry bubbles in that bottle, and a new thing will come in and shake it a bit more and shake it a bit more and shake it a bit more, and we'll reach a point where there's too much bubble in there to keep the lid on that, at which point the lid will come flying off and we will go straight to here and let all of that fizz, just the same as when you shake up a bottle of fizzy and take the lid off all in one go and the fizzy just goes everywhere. Exactly the same situation will happen with whatever emotions you're trying to hold together down here. Now, being together down here and trying to hold that is exhausting, emotionally exhausting, physically exhausting. We end up in a situation where we start to not be well. Our immune systems get shot to pieces. We start catching everything that's going. We might start to self-medicate with food or alcohol or nicotine. You might reach a point where you're sleeping too much or not at all, eating too much or not at all. All right, all of these things happen when we try so hard to not talk about how we're feeling. Okay, that's not a good place to be on a long-term basis. We need to learn what we need to rebalance and bring that line up to the middle more often. Being able to hold our emotions in sometimes is really important. If you've got a child that's in an overwhelmed situation up here, phase number 2, and you go there as well, we all know from experience that is not a good combination at all. All right, so we try and hold it. Don't let that last bubble come in to blow that and go there. If you need some time out, just the same as your kids need time out, you need time out too. Okay, because if you don't, you'll be constantly lurching from here to here, just the same as our children lurch from here to here. Okay, so as I say, we use this resource for everybody, and everybody will say to us, oh my goodness, that now makes that really, really easy to understand. Try and identify where you are. Which phase are you most of the time? Most of our families, I have to say, tend to live in phase 2 and 3, the same as those that are living with a diagnosis. We're trying to bring those two lines closer together more often. All right, we don't have to be in calm Buddhist state, face number one all the time to be able to function and get on. But we don't want to be in this extreme state either. We need to be able to work and pull those lines into the middle. And the videos over the next few weeks will be going through ways that we can do that, one for ourselves, but also for those with a diagnosis, all right, to help you understand what those things are that take us to here, and then being able to stop it before it gets that far, because that is not a good place to live. So I hope you found the resource helpful. I always remember one of our young people who we did that exercise with, and he suddenly just went, "Oh my God, I now understand that." And I said, "Okay, fab." And he went, no, you don't understand what I mean." He said, "I had this other person talk to me a few weeks ago about spoons, and how if you keep putting spoons in the jar, there's no space left to put anything else in the jar." And I just kept looking at it and thinking, what is she talking about? I'm not a spoon. It's because we use the faces that it made sense to him. And so I hope that it's really made sense to you as well. All right. See how you get on this week. Start identifying which face you're on, and start to see where your children are, and where their face is as well. If you're an autist or an adult with ADHD, start doing exactly the same thing. Where are you? Phase 1, 2, or 3? We're all trying to get to phase 1. All right. And it's understanding what we need to do that makes it important. Take care, and we'll see you again in the next video. And as always, we're trying to make the complex really easy to understand, and I hope that's what we've achieved today. Take care.